We got our new artwork and our sound files, so we're ready to get to work again. This is the new James artwork. He's standing in a 3/4 position, so looks like Sandy added the hands in there, which is awesome. Let's take a peek and see. Okay, left forearm, left bicep. That looks good. Oh, okay, well I see our first little issue is the hands aren't in their own folder. I'm just going to rename this one. Let's see if we can add. Okay, so it's not going to let me add a sublayer, so I think we'll try the workaround. Hands. We'll go ahead and rename that default. And then we should be able to pull all these into there. Yeah, so close, so close. I'm guessing, yeah, we'll have to do that for all of them. Luckily, it's not too hard. So we'll rename that hands, rename the item inside default, and now we can pull all the rest of the hands into the hands file. I'm not sure why we can't. Like, if I could add a sublayer here, you just go new sublayer hands and pull everything in. So yeah, I don't know why. Oops. And I'll just rename that bicep 3. Oh, okay, and 4 doesn't have the hand set. I thought there looked like there was kind of a big gap there. Well, we can fix that too. So let's continue on to 5. Okay, and now we're going to want to pull this whole file in, so remember to press Alt, and then what's going on there? And then this is the wrong default, so we'll delete that one and put the correct one in. Okay, now we'll want to go into isolation mode and put those hands in the right spot. So I usually select everything, vanish everything except for default, and now in theory if I grab off screen, did it work? No. I don't know why that's... It used to work for me. Okay, so we'll just adjust these ones individually. Oh, default's in the right spot. Oh, I think we're going to have the issue with backwards hands too, sadly. Okay, so those are in the right spot now, and is 5. Just dropped them in the wrong layer here, so I'm just putting them back into the hands folder, not the default hand. Self default hand. Okay, so that That all looks correct. Now, if we did, I think we got all our hands backwards here, but we'll pull it in. We can always flip the forearms after. Okay, so left arm looks like it's correct now. Let's look at right arm. Okay, so the first thing I see is there's no forearm folder. Let's see if we can add a new layer. Yay! See, why can I add a new layer there? Forearms. And we'll drop all the forearms into the forearms folder. Okay. And then one, okay, and then we've got the same issue where we don't have the hands folder inside, so now it won't let me add a sublayer. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. So we'll do the workaround again. We'll call this hands. We'll open it up, call this default, and then we'll pull everything in to hands like that. So we're really close on getting it named in on the correct layers there. Hi Sandy if you're here. Or hi viewer if it's not Sandy. Oops. Okay, 4 again is missing the hand group. So this is 5. Hands. Yeah, if I ever get a viewer that knows Illustrator, and you could tell me why sometimes I can't add sublayers, I would love that. Okay, so hold down Alt and drop a hands folder in there. Now let's go into isolation mode and put those all in the red spot. So that's the old default, so we want to delete it. I'm going to put that one in the group. See, that moved all of them. See how they all lit up red? Why does it work sometimes and not other times? That's what I wanted it to do. So now all of those actually moved, in theory, to the right spot if I had everything in the right spot. So I'm just selecting off the screen, and see how they all lit up? Now they'll have all moved to the right spot. So why does that work sometimes? That's what I was trying to do yesterday, and I looked like an idiot because it didn't work. Okay, and default's going to be in the wrong spot though, because that was in the wrong spot. So to get rid of that, you have to select it off here and then move it. And see how they didn't all light up? That means only this one moved. So the workaround worked today, of course, when there's only one handset to do. Okay, so those handsets now should be, what did I do there? Hands. Okay, so I think this is good to go on the arm sets. Now I want to make his tie dangly. Oops. So I'm going to label it tie and shirt. Alright, I think we're good to pull into Character Animator. So let's file, import. And that's James Red standing. Come on now. I don't know what's up with my computer today. I probably should have rebooted before I started streaming. There we go. Alright, and let's go into rig mode and find James Red standing. Okay, so as normal, the first things I do is set up my 11 behaviors. Oh, sorry, stream, I got a little message. Okay, so set up my 11 behaviors. So first thing I do is rename my first dragger right hand. Then I add a second dragger. And I name it R left hand. And I just put the R in front of it so that they're side by side on the timeline. You can name it whatever. Then I'm going to add lim IK. And I'm going to add auto blink. And I've just been leaving auto blink at the default. It looks pretty good. It's 30 blinks. Okay, and then I usually like to start working on my swap sets next. So browse, we've got neutral, up, and surprised. So I'm going to pull them in and create my swap set. I always make surprised by default 1 and latch it. The other thing we usually have is the 2 frames, for right and left eyebrow. So I'm going to add psycho layers behavior to that. And we like those 2 advanced frames every 2, forward and reverse. Hold on last layer. Save. Okay, now I'm going to work on my arm swap sets. So left forearms, and I usually, let's go set up our default. So default left, and I'm going to select the donut. And now we'll set up our hand swap set. So we'll take our first example and pull it in. We'll rename our swap set left hands. Okay, and now we'll twirl open all our other forearm sets. Is default and 5 the same? Hang on 1 second. And that's our left. I'm not certain if default left and 5 are the same, so I'm just going to add a hand set into it just in case. So hold down Alt, and let's go into default and see what's going on here. Okay, so let's see if this works. So I've got them all selected. I'm going to vanish them all except for default. I'm going to pull default on the screen, not from up here, on the screen, and move them all to the right spot. See, they didn't light up. Why it works occasionally. It only works when you don't want it to. Yeah, so see, that one's still way down there. So see, now that moved all of them. Why? Because now I don't want it to. Because look, now this one's in the wrong spot. That is so... It's just the unexpected behavior. If it was always one way, that would be one thing. Okay, so that moved all of them again. See how they're all lit up there? Very confusing. If anyone in chat knows why that is. Okay, so I think those should all be in the right spot then, because they all moved. So we'll save. Let's go back to Character Animator. So now when we open, yeah, there we go. There's our hands folder for 5. Okay, so open all your hands folders and grab all your examples and drop them in. So there's open self. Oops. Oops. I'm having a hard time selecting stuff today. Okay. And default, here's our last one going in the swap set. Okay, I'm going to double click on default to make it the default, and I like using open gesture to get stuff on the timeline, and I always use L for left hand. Right, left hand swap set completed. Let's do our right arm, so same drill, drop in our forearm set. Make sure you select your default. I do the donut, and I always do it as A. And latch. Then we'll do our hands, so drop your first hands folder in create swap set. Rename it right hands. I also noticed that our forearms folder was just called forearms. My bad there. So we want to rename that one to right forearm so we don't get confused later. Okay. So I've dropped in 1, so I'm going to twirl open 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and I noticed again 5 doesn't have the full hands folder, so we have to go back into AI. We're working on our right arm. Wait a minute, tell me we're working on our right arm? Yeah, right forearms. Number 5, hands. Okay, so what we want to do is, oh, I see, it's just renamed wrong, so default. You just got to be careful when you drop it in that you drop it in the folder, not on the, there we go, I thought I had done that. There we go. Okay, so again, we'll just build our swap set. Sorry if the fan is very loud. Alright, so open gesture, I always make Z, don't forget to latch. Okay, I think our swap sets are done. That went nice and quick today. Having the hands made, even though they weren't quite in the right folder, saved a significant amount of time not having to build them myself, which is super nice for me. Okay, so then let's get to actual rigging. So James frontal we want tagged as front and also as a head. Head we want independent, and we want to add face behavior to it. We want to attach it correctly. And down in behavior, I like to set head position to 0 and head scale to 0. Also on the top level of the puppet, let's go into, oh, I didn't rename it. So on the top level of the puppet, that first face behavior, I'm going to rename it torso. Okay, so in torso behavior, that one we also want to set head position strength to 0 and head scale strength to 0. Let me just check what that was. Little chat there. Nothing that can't wait. Okay, so that is set up. Now I'll add the skeleton. So left arm, sorry for the beginning everybody, that's and just tag it all up and put the bones in. And I'm just kind of guessing, we know we don't want any of the hands deforming, so I might have to take those out for the short forearms, but I usually put them into start. Okay, so right arm is done. As usual, I'm not certain if I should put the shoulder on the body or the torso layer or on the arms layer. I'm just going to keep doing it how I initially learned because it's habit, but I don't know if it's the best. Don't forget to make the wrists draggable. Let's see if I remembered. Yeah, I remembered on that one. Okay, and let's do legs. And he's not going to be walking or anything, so I'm just going to use a solid stick for the legs. Same drill for the other leg. Oops. And I'm not putting draggables on his legs because again they're not going to be moving. Okay, so on the face layer, on behavior, I like to turn, we had parallax I think set to 200 last time. I think we had to turn it down a bit on this character, but we'll start with 200. The other thing we're going to want to do is check. So his left eye, the mask is there. Awesome! So all I have to do is select left eye, go up to puppet here and create clipping mask. Sorry everybody for the beaming. I should just log out. Okay, so mask is done. Then the other thing I like to do is go in and just manually tag these. I don't know why they don't tag. Left eye and right eye. Right eyeball. Okay, those all looked named correctly. He's pretty easy because he doesn't have hair to rig or anything. Alright, cross everything. Let's pull him onto a scene. Yay! Okay, so we have some invisible hands. I think I might have just forgotten to select a default. Yeah, I did. Oh, are they invisible? what's going on there. Unless they're invisible in rig mode somehow. No, everything's visible. Why are they not showing up? Every once in a while you get something expected like that. Let's go back into rig and see if I can figure out why. So that's his right arm, the forearms, that's set up correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's showing the default as expected. Okay, right hands. I want default as my... Everything else is working perfectly. Yeah, hands default should be displaying right now. Okay, well let's try putting everything on the timeline. Maybe that'll... Okay, so see, the other hands are showing, just not on default. Oh, and our I think we're gonna have to flip all our forearms as well. Yeah, we're gonna. That's not a biggie. And then surprised. Oops. Okay, so if default is showing, we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And is there a default form? Yeah, there is. That's a problem. Right default form. Has no hands in it. Okay, well, that's that would do it. Okay, so let's move a hands folder into right default. And make sure everything's in the correct spot there. So enter isolation mode. Right default may also just be a repeat of oh no, it looks like it is in a slightly different spot. Okay. So here's where, if that little thing happens, it'll be exciting. So I'm going to select the hand and move it up. And they all moved up. Perfect. Now they're all in the right spot. Or well, sort of, if you get it lined up correctly. So why does it work sometimes? If that was consistent, that's a huge time saver for me. When it's not a time saver is like when it only does it sometimes. So it's a great bug if it's a bug, if you could replicate it consistently. Okay, and then the other thing I noticed, let's make sure that fixed first. Oh no, now we have to add those hands into the swap set. So right default right hands are not in the swap set, so we'll just add open self to open self, open up to open up, open column. And default. Okay, now when we go back to the stage, hey, we have hands. Okay, now his right forearm, we want right default selected, and his left forearm, we want default left selected. Oops. I wonder why, or I guess it's supposed to be behind, that's why. Alright, so now we can refine and add things to our puppet. I don't know if we want them that different of length, though. go to 5. Oh, that's really long. And what's happening there? See, we've got 2 hands displaying there. I might have, I was going pretty quick when I was creating the swap set, so yeah, default hands. Five, four, three, two, one. Oops. Go into that folder in AI and just make sure that they're fixing little mistakes, or not mistakes, but trying to figure out why some stuff isn't working as expected. Like, why is there 2 hands showing there? That's definitely only 1 hand. There's not like accidentally 2 layers. Okay, so it's not that. It's got to be how I built the swap set, maybe. So one thing I can do is just delete. Let's rebuild right hands. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, rig. Doesn't take too long to rebuild right hands. Okay, so sometimes it's faster just to redo. Okay, so left hands. Let's pull in hands. We'll call it right hands. Yep. 1 is in the swap set, so I twirl it closed. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, and right default. Alright, so open self. I sometimes think I'm saving time by going really quickly, and it turns out default, 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 default. Again, 2 instances. Why is there 2 instances? Okay, it's form 5. It looks like there's 2 full forearms displaying on forearm 5. See how there's the little cuff there? Maybe I just needed to rebuild my right forearms. Left is working. Yeah, it looks like default is displaying at the same time. Why is that? Let's pull that all closed. I see why. Right default wasn't in the swap set. So you could see when I clicked on right default down here, it didn't have anything stored in there. I don't know why. But at least we figured out the problem, right? Yeah, right default. Hey. Okay, so I'm not loving 5 is really long. We're definitely going to want to we probably should have just deleted 5 to save ourselves a little bit of time, but I think forearms we're going to want, so that's the two defaults, which is good. Alright, so let's look in carefully and see. Parallax set at 200 is not bad. His mask is, his ears. I often forget to put the parallax on the ears. So to parallax the ears, we'll take right ear and left ear, and they're already independent. We're gonna add face behavior and tag them as a head. And then make sure that they're attached to the head. See, there we go, that's attached. Okay, and I think it's left ear we want moving at minus parallax. So we'll go minus 150, and right ear we want plus 150. Hopefully I got that correct. Might want it even a little bit more. Yeah, let's turn that up a bit. So that's his right ear. I guess 200 because we have parallax set to 200 still. Yeah, I'm guessing if you match that to the parallax, it'll be fairly close. Alright, let's look at his eyebrows. Look great. Yeah, so he came together pretty good. Again, if you're careful and add all your stuff to your swap set. So let's just pull this out a bit and test out his brows. So that's surprised, that's up. I'm guessing if we need quizzical, we can always add it later. Let's try out his forearms. Okay, so we're going to be going default and then 4, I think, right? Okay, so if you want to add frames, what you do is advance to where you want it to, and then Control-Shift-D will add or split your viseme. I don't know what's the correct term. So 4, 3, 2, 1. And I just deleted. I don't usually leave default on, like you could just put default and leave it on there, but I just deleted it. It keeps it a little bit more tidy. Let's zoom out very slightly. Okay, so 4 is longer than default, so default must be 3. That looks terrible. So let's go 4, 2, 1. Man, I think we're going to want to change our default to 4. And then go 3, 2, 1 in here. Yeah. potentially it's going to be the same. Oh yeah, we decided 5 is too long, so let's go 4. Oops, not Control Shift S, Control Shift D. Okay, so 4 and default are the same, so again, we could just go 3, 2, 1. And then okay, now I think, oh yeah, I need the right hand swap set, so it's not on my timeline. Let's put it on the timeline by activating trigger. So the big drag that I've noticed is some of the hands are backwards. So default is going to be correct on all of them. Open flat. Yeah, everything's going to be backwards. So the easiest way I think would be to flip the forearms and then readjust the default. I should have checked that before I did everything. Okay, so left forearms, everything flipped, and then just go back in and redo the default hands. I think is going to be the easiest. So object, transform, reflect. This is going to be the check. Trying to line this up here. Oh, not bad, because you can see the donut. Okay. And then right forearms as well. Check, transform. Okay. Right, out of wireframe. Now we're just going to have to go back in to default on all of them. It's kind of a drag. Let's make sure that hand is correct now. Which hand is not correct? Oh, I'm working on it. Okay, so left should be done. Come on, update. Okay, so now, yay. I'll have to go in obviously and readjust the hands a little bit, like that's not in the right spot we can see, but as long as they're facing the right way. Side open, open gesture, open palm, nice. Okay, so we might as well go in and adjust that. So what do I have? His left forearm is defaulting to 4. See, it moved all of them. Why? Okay, so select it off here, and then it doesn't move all of them, but like, sometimes it would be awesome to move all of them. Don't forget to unhide, or re-unhide. There. Now let's make sure that his arms move how we want them to. Again, we're going to want to jimmy around with those a little bit. I can never remember if it's into the elbow to get it to move both ways. No, other side of the elbow. Still not super great. That's another advantage of the A position. I know I've said that before, but I guess if it's too, like if I can't move it enough, I'll just adjust the forearms. And then all you do is you lose these sticks a little bit, but that's alright. Yeah, we're definitely going to want them to be able to do that, so. Oh, I know what I forgot to do too. One thing we like to do is left arm and right arm. You want to go up here and switch it from weld to hinge. And then it just moves better with the body. What I think I'm going to do, just to save myself some trauma later, is go into the AI files and hopefully angle them all a little more. So if I close it right down to forearms and I put my rotation point here, and then same with right forearms, and I put my rotation point here, this will just make our life a little easier later. unless we want to move the hands. And then let's go back into rig and change that up a bit. Come on. I just find it easiest just to restart instead of redirecting it. That's when Character Animator says, you did too many changes, I don't know what you're doing anymore. I'm just gonna freak out. Yeah, I definitely need to reboot my computer. Look how slow this is opening. Alright, so now you can see our draggables and stuff are a little off, but that's easy to adjust. So we'll just move our draggables out, take out these bones. Put it back in a little more reasonable, so left arm. Oops. And right arm. Yeah, that should make our life easier, I think. Now let's make sure. Still doesn't want to turn that way very much. Unless I'm doing it the wrong way. It's not super great, so what I'm going to do, I think, is go into Limit K. Now I can never remember which way this is. Is it that way? No. That's not bad. And that one's not bad now either. Okay, so we're going to have a few issues here. His arm is covering his tie. So let's go back into Animator or Illustrator and add, I guess we've got to add tie. His collar instead. Come on now, update. There we go, and that's gotten rid of that little problem, so you can see now it's not covering his tie. The only downfall is if he gestures towards himself, but if that happens, well, it's a drag because we want his tie to be swingy, so we'll see if we have issues with that later. So let's make his tie swingy, because that's one of the few things that we've got. So that's on collar. We'll make his tie independent. And if I remember correctly, we got the best action with the dangle up a bit high. Yeah. Turn him on. So he's basically done. I think I wish his arms moved a little bit. I might fart around with that a little bit more, but maybe not on stream because it's kind of boring to watch those settings. Another thing I can do is turn down the stretchiness a bit. Oh yeah, that helped. It has, I think it defaults to stretchy of 10%, but that's a bit long because ours are kind of realistic looking. And then I'm guessing his rest pose would be something like that, which works good. And I like his arms, yeah, on hinge looks better, I think, or looks more natural anyway. Yeah, so I think he's basically good to go. I have a sneaking suspicion that tie is going to really be annoying. We might want to put it on its very own layer, I wonder how that would work. So the other thing I got was the sound files today. So I was making the audio transcripts for that. So to do that, I just go into Premiere Pro and import. I just saved one to show it on screen. So import my sound file, drag it onto the timeline and click transcribe. And I'm on captions and transcript up here. I'll hit transcribe. Depending on how long it is, this can take a little while. Once I've got it transcribed, I want to create captions, so hit the little CC and create captions. OK Samurai has a great tutorial on this. And then export to SRT file, so I'm just exporting it to my audio folder. And then that's it, you've got your transcript. So we can actually close Premiere Pro. I don't have to save this project because I don't need those versions of the sound files for anything else, so I'll just close it without saving. Alright, so now we can actually try lip sync with this guy with his own voice. So I'm going to import his James. So I'll go to my audio file. Let's find the first. So I've got James and Kane to work on today. So we'll import James and Kane. So once you've got the sound file up here, you'll notice that when you select it, the transcript box opens up, and here's where we're going to import. So it's 06 Kane James. So I want to import from my SRT files 06 Kane James import, and then you'll see all the text come up on the side. And now when I pull it in, I'm going to import Kane James, and I'm going to activate him, make sure that lip sync is activated, and on timeline I can go compute lip sync, take from audio and transcript now, and it just does a way better job. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it breaks, like if there's music or sound effects sometimes, but let's try it. Awesome, and it didn't break. So the other thing I usually do right away is pull this take right to the beginning of my scene, and then that way the beginning, like all my timeline is all nice and tidy. Don't have to do that, but alright, let's take a peek.
Kane, what I'd like to do is discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay.
And then, so when I'm doing my actual animation, I just go through and every time she's talking, just delete those visins.
Let me tell you what's worrying me, and then I'd like to hear your take on it, okay?
Nice. So first thing I noticed is that I forgot to make his jaw flappy. So let's go back into rig mode. And it didn't like the beard the other day. I'm curious if that was because we changed it halfway through and it was doing that bug where it remembers the old origin point. So in head, I'm going to go to what we call face base, and it's already independent. I'm going to take my stick tool, and at the top of the mouth, and make it fixed, and then make one where I want it to start moving. So that is chin, and I'm going to call that jaw. And now it should move.
What I'd like to do.
See, it just goes crazy. I don't know why. It just doesn't like the beard. I think maybe because it's different colors. So this is another one where, first off, I'm going to put it down to like 2%.
What I'd like to do is discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay, and then the other thing we noticed the other day, because he's got this little soul patch, it's really important that this space between stays approximately the same. So if you ever have to do that, you can go into manual jaw movement. So let's select Divide Zoom. That one looks about right. A could go down very slightly. So let's go 2 pixels. Needs to go down a lot, so about there. The other one that was showing a lot last time was O. Make that about 3 pixels probably. Okay, so M would need to go up actually. Maybe not quite that up. So E, M, and that's R needs to go down. There, that looks pretty good. Sorry I keep getting so many messages today. Usually I'm not very popular. Awesome. Okay, so apparently my Twitch alerts aren't going out to everyone. Sorry if you wanted to tune in earlier. I just was working on it. Went together quite smooth today. There's a few things we had to change. I'm just working on updating the lip syncs, manually adjusting the jaws here. Okay, so B, oh that's M. I think we wanted to go minus 3 pixels. No, maybe minus 2 pixels. All right, let's get that.
What I'd like to do is discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay.
S needs to go up as well. Let's go minus 2.
Performance.
Okay.
Discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay.
Let me tell you what's worrying me.
L needs to go down.
Let me tell you what's worrying me. Tell you.
Okay, that looks not bad. When I'm animating it, I might fine tune it as I go, but it looks pretty good, I think.
What I'd like to do is discuss a concern I have about your.
And let's look at it further back, actually, because there.
Discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay.
Let me tell you what's worrying me, and then I'd like to hear your take on it.
It's still a little bit wonky, isn't it? Let's move this to like 3.
And then I'd like to hear your take on it, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Now, what I was expecting you to do was to call all of our customers after we completed their jobs to make sure they were happy with.
I think that looks pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to start animating right away. I guess there's not any reason not to, although what time is it? 4 o'clock. I don't know if I might do an animation stream later this evening then, instead of actually doing, we've got him all rigged up. Maybe what I'll do is, I was just pushing puppet track behaviors there. That's not a bad idea. Like, we changed all these and we know we want that on the main puppet, not just in this scene. So definitely we want to click puppet track behaviors. We want that push to source puppet. Otherwise we would have had to do that manually in every scene. Don't want to do that. We were going to see how his legs move. Not bad. Oh, the other thing that we like to do again, did we do it? Let's go into left arm. Oh, I already put them on hinge. Excellent. So I think he's good to go. So his rest pose, I think, will be this. Yeah, his hands, I guess, yeah, his hands would be in front of his hips, I guess. They're kind of, it's a one other thing we could do actually is get him ready, so get him all the right size and everything. So let's just import the picture of what our background and everything is going to look like. So we want James and Kane today, and I'm just going to pull that on screen. Oh, we don't want James and Kane today. We want James and Judy. Let's import James and Judy. And I'm just going to make that really opaque. And then we can set up where James is always going to be. And this will be handy when I'm animating. It's nice to know kind of the size and where everybody is. That way, say in this one, there's 2 people in the scene, and I've had that before where I animated and I didn't keep in mind where the second person was, and when I put the scenes together, their hands clacked. It wasn't good. Oh, switching back and forth between Alt and Spacebar for the same. Okay, so he's going to be approximately here in the scene when we get our backgrounds in. So I'm going to push that. And now next time I pull him in, he'll be in the right spot and the right size for our scenes. And in fact, I could do the same for Judy, because we're ready to rig, or to work with Judy as well. So let's go to Judy's scene, and we'll pull in the James and Judy. Make it really opaque, and then we'll select Judy, go into transform, I wonder if her legs are a bit longer this time. She didn't quite fit. That's looking pretty good, so let's push parameters and we can delete that. Let's go back to James and we can also delete that. Alright, so I think we're basically ready to animate. So I usually do all my scenes with characters in their own project. So I'm just going to go to feedback. I'm going to make a new folder. And call it James and Judy. No, let's call it the sound files. So they're Judy James 20. Oh, I can do that another time. I'll just get everything all set up and then I can import. So let's go file. No, you know what? I'll just do it in a totally different stream. We just did rigging today, and then after supper we'll do an animating stream. That's better because I'm a little bit distracted, I think. So yeah, he's ready to go. Went together smooth. The thing we need to watch, I guess, for ourselves is like keeping organized in the folders. So procedures left arm, and then inside there's forearms file, and inside forearms file is 1, 2, 3, 4, but inside that is hands file. So that was our one little mistake, but not bad. It was easy to correct. It'd be easier if you could add layers in Illustrator. So yeah, I guess if you have no questions, I will sign off probably around 7:30 or 8. I'll start doing some animating tonight. I think we're ready to go. I've got all my transcripts made. I've got all 4 puppets made. I got sent the backgrounds this morning, so we'll be good to go. I'll start nice and fresh after a good meal. All right, have a great afternoon stream. Hopefully we'll see you this evening. Oh, see you at 8. Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Bye.